We're talking hockey. Rosie and Rubber talking hockey. Big Pronger coming.
Hello and welcome to That's Hockey Talk. I am your host, Nick Morado. It's a beautiful night for talking hockey on the internet. That magical voice you just heard, who never ceases to amaze with the lyrical stylings that he switches up from week to week. Our pals on the board, friend at Papa Gumpino. Gumpy, how you doing, brother?
I got the lads right in front of me, and I got a fucking big game to my left, boys. Fucking Texas hockey in that dump in Edmonton. Absolute dump.
Getting the Edmonton hate started early when we got to talk to a legend, Chris Pronger, here in a little bit. And joining us, a legend in his own right, a Stanley Cup champion, a Game 7 goal-scoring hero, an NHL Network analyst who did not mention that he is going to be calling the showcase game of the Pittsburgh Penguins and Detroit Red Wings this Saturday at 12:30 from the NHL Network studios in a conversation-style setting.
Yeah.
Rupper, what is all this about? Mike Rupp, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up? What's up? Yeah, no, this is going to be so. We've talked about this before. NHL Network is under the umbrella of MLB Network. MLB's done this, and it's awesome. Like they've had in the past. MLB Network will take a game of the week and they'll have like Sean Casey's been in there, Jim Thomey's been in there, and they'll sit down. They'll sit down and they'll have, who did they have on? I think they had Big Papi in there once. And so they sit down, there's couches. You've got like the studio screens that are probably 15 feet tall and they got a game on. And it's kind of like this actually was happening a little bit before kind of like the Manning cast where they were doing that kind of thing. And it's a little different, but it's just kind of shooting the shit. So guys you're talking about the game, but then you having players on there. And, this is the first one where I think eventually they want to get it where we're having some current players on there with us as well watching. So it's just like lounging on the couch, telling stories, kind of shooting the shit. So check it out. NHL Network this weekend. It'll be fun. We haven't done it yet, so it'll be fun. But it's myself, Weeksy, Jackie Redmond, who a lot of you guys know that was on here, and EJ Redick. So it'll be the four of us kind of shooting the shit. So it'll be good.
Really cool idea, really cool concept. Awesome that you get to be a part of it. We're very excited for you. Can't wait to watch that. It's supposed to be like 80 degrees on Saturday. I was gonna go play golf. I saw that. I said I can't miss it. I gotta watch Rups call the game. I wish the game would have been a better one for you. I wish it didn't have to be the soulless suckfest of the Detroit Red Wings, who now are without Dylan Larkin for the rest of the season, undergoing core muscle surgery, and the Pittsburgh Penguins, who their goalie breaks his damn foot and practically ends the season, Tristan Jarry.
It's it's a tough draw, but we'll sell it and we'll have some fun. They'll provide some fireworks.
Big game Domingue in that.
Big Louie might
Domingue.
Rupper, I sold the boys in the office, I think, on Louis Domingue being the hope and savior of the Pittsburgh Penguins. While Casey DeSmith has been a good backup goalie in years past,
get hot, dude.
He's struggled a little bit this year. I didn't know this. Louis Domingue won 10 straight starts for the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Go look at Louis Domingue's track record. If you catch him in the right, 2 weeks of the calendar year, he's fucking good. So you just got that's what they're hoping for here. You know what I mean? Catch some lightning in a bottle. But Casey DeSmith, I would assume, what is that? I think Louis Domingue might be playing tomorrow against Boston, and then maybe Casey DeSmith or vice versa. I don't know.
Don't want to see Domingue.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't want Domingue on a Thursday night.
Hey, how about the I don't know if you saw it on social, on Twitter. A fan tweeted us an article about the Red Wings. Did you see this about the Zamboni driver?
Yeah, I just saw this. I literally just saw this about 20 minutes before we went live here. So Al Saboka, I think I pronounced it right, is the Zamboni driver for the Red Wings.
Used to live in his basement.
I'm sure Foxy has some association with him because this guy is Red Wings legend. This is the guy. He was a Zamboni driver, and this was the guy that would go out there, fire up the crowd. He would swing the octopus around before the playoff games. And if you don't know the legend of Detroit, back when there were only 6 teams in the league and they won a majority of their Stanley Cups, you only had to win 8 games, and those were the 8 that was represented by the octopus and the 8 legs, the tentacles. You only had to win 8 games to win the Stanley Cup, not a full 16. People forget that. So the Red Wings adopted the octopus as their mascot and then savagely killed them before each game and threw them out on the ice. Now it became illegal. They say not to do it, but fans would still tape them to their chests and take those beautiful, beautiful creatures, those alien creatures.
First off,
throw them onto the ice.
Can you imagine what kind of creature you have to be to tape a fucking octopus to your chest going into an arena?
Yeah, like Detroit.
Like, what are we doing? Like, I get if the 3 of us went to a game and we did rock, paper, scissors, and I'm not playing. Like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not losing. I'm not taping an octopus to my chest.
But it was a pretty cool thing, and it got the crowd really fired up in Detroit, and they used to do it all the time with the Joe. It was awesome. So this guy was like an institution. Well, I guess he had to relieve himself, had to take a little pee, and he peed down the wrong pipe, my friends. He peed down some drain in their new arena, and they were like, someone saw it or something happened. Can't have it. He got the boot. They fired him. Now he's suing the company. It wasn't the team. He's not suing the team. It was like a holding company, I believe, that employed people who work the arena. So he's in a lawsuit right now with the I forget what the name of the company is, but basically we'll say the Wings for lack of a better term. He's in a lawsuit with the Wings right now. The former Zamboni driver who swung the octopus around before the games is suing the Detroit Red Wings now.
So do we
know another fucking hero? Another hero pushed out of Detroit. Just like Calvin Johnson.
So,
I mean, what is it with this place, dude? MCDC will hire him. Guy loves ball.
Yes, yeah. But like, he just pissed in like a drain, right on the floor.
I guess. I mean, it's all pipes, right? It's all going to the same spot. Like
I fucking
classic podcast
day.
Yeah. Hey, do you pee in the shower? I bet you pee in the shower.
Like, come on. Like, we all should get canned from our job for doing that. But I don't know. Maybe we don't know all the details. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, unless he whipped it out in front of like a group of people.
Yeah.
All right, boys, I gotta drain the main right now. I don't know.
Yeah, there's only certain tentacles people want to see around those parts. So yeah, man, that's no good.
It's ironic that news came out today because just 2 days ago I saw and this is a much less humorous story, but kind of strange. The Philadelphia Flyers have 2 former team employees, trainers. They were team trainers, longtime trainers, who are suing the team because they both have developed a type of blood cancer. And through research and working with their medical team, they believe it's linked to the exhaust or some type of chemical from the Zamboni.
Not the pony.
Which apparently was in Philly's arena. It is the Zamboni room is here, and it's not very well ventilated, they claim in their lawsuit, and the trainer's room is here. They're adjacent. So it is ironic that these 2 guys, within weeks of each other, developed the same type of disease. So I don't know. It's craziness in the NHL training world right now.
It is, man. That's nuts. No, one we could laugh at, the other one's serious shit. But yeah.
Obviously, we wish the best for those 2 gentlemen and everything, and hopefully everything gets sorted out as it needs to be. It was kind of ironic the timing of all these situations revolving around the Zamboni, who everyone thinks is like this fun, harmless little novelty at the games. Turns out this thing might be killing people and costing people their jobs.
Jeez.
Yeah, man, that's no good. No good, right?
No good at all. Rupper, why don't they go back to the old days and have you guys just go out there and fucking scrape the ice yourselves, get the shovels out for the boys?
Yeah. Why not? That would be you remember when they started bringing in like the ice crew? And they start bringing in the ice team, right? Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you're talking about outdoor hockey, right? Where you get the big shovels and we'd all take a timeout. We go out there and shovel off the ice and all that. So they start bringing the ice crews in, man. I'll tell you what, it's the worst. I've seen so many like disgusting. Do you think about like we've seen hockey benches, how disgusting it is. Just you guys, we come back to the bench, we're spitting and guys are doing the old farmer snot on the ground. It's like just disgusting in there. Like you go to grab a water bottle and it's like slimy. So you know that someone must have spit on the side of the water bottle. It's gross. So you're sitting in there and like, you're not paying attention. TV timeout. You're like, squirt, and then you're whatever. And then you're talking and you're spitting. I've seen numerous times like these ice girls going by the bench and they're scraping the ice and just right in there. It's disgusting. I'm like, I would never do that. I would never.
You're a pig. You guys are pigs. You would do that.
No, I'm saying I wouldn't be on the ice crew. Like, dude.
Yeah, I'd absolutely spit on them.
No, I'm spitting. I spit all the time when I was playing. I'm just saying, like, I'm not controlling. I think as long as I clear the boards, but I'm getting fights with guys on the bench all the time too. Danny Heatley was the worst. Like, just spit. He'd spit loogies on the floor. Heater would spit on the floor, dude. And I remember Zach Parisi and I were like, we just joke around, and we started calling him like, this is gross. Probably shouldn't say this, but we started calling him Heater Bananas, and everyone's like, so we started calling him Bananas, and people are like, why are you calling Heater Bananas? I'm like, dude, because his loogies, it just looks like chunks of bananas. They're all over the floor on the bench. It's disgusting. So, anyways, he'd sit there and do all this. I'm like, dude, just spit over the fucking boards. Like, it's right there. Don't spit where we are. This is our domain. Spit out there. The Zamboni will get that shit. But then you get ice crew coming by with shovels, and then it's awful. But anyways, I don't know why I went down this avenue. But anyways, it's nasty. But bring back the old ways to clean up ice. Maybe we just stop spitting for a little bit. I don't know.
I forgot Heater was on the Wild.
Yeah,
Heater's a beauty, an absolute beauty.
Oh, yeah.
Do you follow
one?
Danny Heatley All-Star? I can't remember the actual but the Twitter
it's
account.
Heat Daddy at Heat
Yes.
Daddy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or no, is it Danny All-Star 15?
Something like that. Something like that. One of the best follows on hockey Twitter. Yeah. Absolute beauty out there, and he brings it all the time.
Yeah, he does. He's good.
Shout out to him. Hey, I got a bone to pick with you because I know you can relay this message.
Yeah.
We had Marc-Andre Fleury on last week. Incredible conversation. Absolutely awesome. Flower was outstanding. If you haven't seen it yet, you can check that on our YouTube page, youtube.com/That's Hockey Talk. Hopefully you're watching live with us right now, but if not, you can go back and watch that one. And then a couple days ago, he announces he's playing another year. Like, what's that about? He couldn't announce it on the show?
It's true. I should circle back. On him there. I mean, I had no idea. I knew he was kind of open-ended with everything.
I guess, honestly, we probably should have asked him. That's kind of on us.
Yeah. It also might have been that pass off the boards to fucking win the game against Texas hockey the night after, where he said, okay, I got another year left in me.
Plus, as soon as he got that absolute mind fuck of $150K for scoring a goal, he wasn't coming back. He wasn't going to give us any sort of. He was looking to score a goal, and that you're talking about that. I mean, he got a nice little apple in overtime there after that, so he got a nice THT bump on that one. So you know what, man, I knew that he was kind of open for things, and I think it's about. Here's the one thing. From everything I've heard in the conversations I've had, he loves that room in Minnesota. Like, he's like, this is one of the greatest locker rooms. The guys having fun. Did you see on I think the Wild posted something on social? They're alluding to possibly Flower pulling some pranks. He did the packing peanuts and filled up the one player's car. So he's fitting in. He loves it there. So I don't know. I'm going to assume that if it's Minnesota or another perfect situation, then he wants to play. He's still showing he's able to. So I love that, man. You're talking, what is he right now, Nick? Is he third all time? He's right behind Patty Waugh, right?
He's 36 wins away from tying Patty Waugh for second all time in wins.
I'm pretty sure Marty's a good chunk ahead.
He's not going to catch Marty, but
number two, man, number 2 all time. So I love it, Flower. But hey, I'll talk to him. He's got to drop that on here. I don't know why he waited a couple days.
Do the right thing, Penguins. Like, let him finish his career in Pittsburgh, man. Full circle.
I would love that, but
you can't. Like, we've talked about this 1,000 times on this fucking show, dude. We knew something was going to happen with Jari. I know it's unfortunate it was an injury, or it was going to happen in the playoffs. And now you're going into the playoffs with fucking Casey DeSmith as your starter. I swear to God, we said it 1,000 times on this show, dude. You had to get a veteran behind Jari. You had to.
We said a lot, and it's no knock on Casey Smith. We like him. Like he's played hard. He deserves to be in the NHL.
He's a very good backup.
Yes,
but
for whatever reason, this season hasn't been his strongest performances, and now he's going to be tasked to carry the load. It seems like at least through the first couple games of the first round, if they can hang on and make it that long. Because let's be honest, team hasn't played that well in front of anyone who's in. It doesn't matter who's in that. They haven't played that well in front of either goalie in the past couple weeks.
Oh, for fuck's sakes!
But coming back on Flower,
fucking,
I would love to see him back in Pittsburgh, but I don't blame him one bit because he wants to play. And like we said, 36 wins, that's definitely within reach, but that's a starting goaltender's number on a good team. Like that is not split time and luck your way into 36 wins. If he wants to do that in 1 year, he's got to be a starter somewhere.
I'll say this. I'm pretty confident that on both places, on both sides, I don't think he'll be back in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
No.
So. No, I don't. I mean,
McDavid just absolutely walked fucking Stars for a tap into Vander Kane.
What's going to happen?
But how about Gumpy? Like the last 2 days have been a very big success for the Stars because
not them playing, but everything else.
Yeah, this has been the most successful 3 days in the Stars season. They haven't even had to lace them up, man. They haven't. So the Devils did the dirty work. And the Ottawa Senators did the dirty work last night. They should be sitting pretty. So maybe if they can eke out a point here tonight, that'd be good. But they're fine now, man.
What do you give us against Colorado?
That's gonna be tough.
Hey, we talked about today on Hammer Down. I said 7 games, and Diggs, I almost fell out of my chair laughing. Diggs said it'd take about 20 games for the Stars to beat Colorado in a 7-game series.
It may. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Fuck off. What are we doing here?
I mean, I can't see them beating them. I can't. I can see some teams in the West. I don't know if that's the team that can beat them. But hey, that's why they play the game.
Who's the team? Like, there's going to be that Miracle Run team. Who do you think has that chance to be it?
I think St. Louis has a chance to be that. And there's something about the Rangers that make me think they might be able to put together something. The other team too, I'm really not nervous about, but I don't know what to think of. I don't know what to think about Toronto. I don't know what to think.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get sucked in every year. I'm the same
way.
I never get sucked in.
Win a series now. That's the thing. If they win a series, then I'll talk about it. Yeah. But until they win a series, you just can't take the bait. Can't do it.
What's the deal with Matthews? He's out last game. Is it 2 games he's missed now, or just 1? Is there any word on?
He's missed 2. I think it's just maintenance stuff, which I like. They're not chasing. Yeah. They're not chasing 60. Like I wouldn't expect them to. Like get this guy healthy. You know, they've got to win in the playoffs. I think if the playoffs are happening now, from what I've heard, he'd be playing. So just get him healthy. Yeah, I think he'll be fine come playoff time, though.
Hey, I got a question because you mentioned this earlier, New Jersey the other night getting that upset win. We talk about this all the time on Hammer Down, like in the NHL, especially now in these last like 20 games or so. We saw a bunch of underdogs, like huge underdogs coming out and win. We saw it last night. Detroit beats Tampa Bay. Yeah. Washington beat Colorado. It's kind of you can almost see them coming too. Like we're looking at these games and you can pick which you feel like who has a pretty good shot of pulling off an upset. We just don't have the guts to do it sometimes. But like, what is it about this tail end of the season? Like if you're on I don't know if you've ever been on a team like that's out of playoff contention, that is just like, you got nothing to lose. So you go balls out. Is that the mindset? Is that what happens? Or,
you've
been on the opposite end of it where you're kind of like cruising.
I hated playing against teams like that. I've been very fortunate in my career. I only had 1 year of not making the playoffs, and wow. I got traded from New Jersey to the Coyotes at the deadline, and we weren't going to make the playoffs in Arizona. And it's what I find it is like, look at right now, the young teams that are out of the playoffs, they're the dangerous ones. The Ottawa Senators, the New Jersey Devils, the Buffalo Sabres, like those are like Yeah, those are the teams that are different. Look, the old veteran laden teams that aren't in the playoffs, they still suck. Like Philly, like Montreal, I don't see them pulling off a bunch of upsets. Like, you know what I'm saying, though? So what I find is like the young group, it's like these guys are still trying to carve out their spot. And they're, when I went to Arizona, I was like 24. We had like an American Hockey League team, right? But we were like competing and we were playing hard. And like, it was an opportunity for me because I was on our top line with Mike Comrie and Chris Kolanos was like our number one line. So point being
Mike
is
Comrie,
like,
what a legend.
yeah. So point being, I was getting an opportunity I've never gotten. You don't think I'm going to run through a fucking wall? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and all these guys, so these teams, they want to see what they're getting out of their youth. Let's smoke it out now. Let's not wait till the summer and training camp and next year. Let's figure it out right now. Put guys in uncomfortable situations and see if they're going to sink or swim. And you're going to have your hands full. And they're playing free hockey. What are they? They don't got anything at stake. They're not worried about. They're just playing. So I hated it. I hated it when you're a team that's in the playoffs and you look on your calendar and you've got the last 5 games of the season are against non-playoff teams. It's brutal. I'd rather go against the best. Like let's get ready for the playoffs. I at least know what to expect from those teams. You don't know what to expect from some of these teams outside the playoffs.
That's an excellent point. Glad you could kind of speak on that from personal experience because I look at like the New Jersey Devils and we're trying to pick games every day to bet on. Like that team could win by 7 or they could lose by 7. Yeah. I have no idea what they're going to do. And then you look at like the Flyers, it's like they've been losing for so long. They got to be due for one. Then they run into like the Rangers. The Rangers schedule down the stretch has been absolutely beneficial to the Rangers. Everyone talks about the deadline acquisitions, and I think they were legitimate good deadline acquisitions, but the Rangers schedule since the deadline has been very, very, very favorable. And, you can only play who they put in front of you. So I'm not trying to sound bitter or take it anyway, but like Shesterkin, and they're 3 straight games here without a goal. They've got 3 straight shutouts. But who did they play? They played Winnipeg, they played Philadelphia, and who was it? New Jersey, I think. I can't remember. But they were all 3 like non-playoff teams. So I guess there's 2 ways to go about it. It's like you're on cruise control, or you kind of try and keep your fucking foot on the gas and keep going against these teams and keep just cracking skulls. And another team in that situation, Montreal, they're facing a lot of turnover and a very tumultuous season. But Carey Price comes back. Were you surprised that Carey Price came back at this late in the season to get a couple games in?
I guess I wasn't surprised because just seeing guys go through long rehabs, dealing with injuries, like you put the work in, you're in there, man. It's grueling. It's awful, right? So, I mean, you get to a point where you want to see where you're at, and you get it with the circumstance. They're not making the playoffs, but I also think this is an opportunity. I think for Carey Price to show not just Montreal, show other teams, I'm going to be back. And this is what I am right now from right off the rehab. And I think there's going to be conversations out of Montreal, probably with Carey Price. I think this organization supported him through all this. They've been nothing but supportive to Carey Price in a lot of different ways. But I think they're going to have this conversation. Carey, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to be a Montreal Canadien, or do you want to look to something else? Like we might, it might be difficult with his contract, but I think the big thing is let's show people that you're good, and let's get that back out there, right? So he's come back. He's looked all right. The team hasn't scored a goal in his 2 starts, so it's tough for him to get. It's tough for
45 shots against the Islanders.
Yeah,
I think that is why he came back too, Rupper, because if something happens and he does get moved in the offseason, at least he knows he came back and got a send-off. You know what I mean?
That's true. I didn't even think about that. That's a great point, Gumpy. He got out there and, he got a proper send-off, if you want to put it that way, like in Montreal. And that is an intriguing one for me. I don't know what Carey Price, we know he's shortly off the run to the finals, but he's not the old Carey Price. And I think his cap hits 10.5.
A lot,
Like,
and there's still a lot of term left. But Rupper, let me throw
yeah,
something out there, just because we'll do this now, because no one will hold it against us. I'm thinking of two teams come to mind when I think of Carey Price being available. If Colorado doesn't get it done this year somehow, some way,
Yeah.
I think of
Patrick, same thing as Patrick Waugh.
exactly. And I understand it's a lot of term and a lot of money, but if you want it, you can make it work. Montreal can retain some salary. They're a very well off club off the ice. They have a very deep pocketed owner who would, I'm sure, be willing to eat a little bit
yeah,
to make that move. And then the Oilers, who
yeah.
have struggled forever to find a goaltender. And maybe Carey isn't what he once was, but he's an old warhorse, and I think he'd give you the right attitude in the locker room.
You think he'd go to Edmonton?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I'm not thinking
Yeah.
so much in terms of what Carey would do, and maybe I should be, because he deserves that. I'm just thinking of those are the two teams that jump out to me immediately that like would really, really, really benefit from him. But look, hey, Darcy Kemper's kind of picked up his game in the second half of the season. He looks really good right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I rank Carey Price almost too high. I think when I think of a Canadian goalie, like as bad as this, he's the first guy. I know it should be Brodeur, but for me, like growing up,
he's more your generation. I think you've got to see the entirety of his career through your almost adult life.
When I think of a Canadian goalie, he's the first guy that comes to mind. He really is.
Go ahead.
Because it was Brodeur, and because it was basically Joseph Brodeur, and then you had Luongo, but nobody loved Luongo, right?
Yeah, and you scumbags never gave Fleury enough love.
Fleury, I don't know. He was never, because he was always behind Luongo, and nobody loved Luongo.
Oh man,
right?
You're taking it down. You're gonna get me fired up on this, because I think Carey Price, I hate saying this for what this guy has gone through in the last year, I think he's on the overrated side of things. And
I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people.
He's a very, 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 very good goaltender. He's been great at times, but I don't think you can even compare what Marc-Andre Fleury's accomplished. Who's some of the other like current ones? I mean, in his heyday, like I'm trying to think who else. Like, no, he'd be over.
Do you rate Luongo over or
100%? Roberto Luongo, I put over Carey Price without a doubt. But like, here's my question to you: would you today say that Carey Price is a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I would, because
would you?
I do. I associate that with like some of the best at your position during their time, and I understand he doesn't have the cups, but like when you think of the Montreal Canadiens for years, you thought of Carey Price. He was the face of the franchise, and he lived up to that standard. He was very good. I understand what you're saying though. Like,
I'm not trying to poo-poo Carey Price.
No, not at all.
Carey Price is unbelievable. He's great, but it's like when you're talking, I don't know. I just feel like I feel like sometimes in Canadian markets, like it's almost the same thing. We used to always joke around about it. Like if I was a defenseman in the NHL, I'd go play. I would do anything I could to get to a Canadian market. Look at some of the guys who played in Canadian markets as defensemen. Yeah. They were solid defensemen, but they were all world because they were, like, remember Mike Komisarek when he's coming out of Montreal?
Dion Phaneuf.
Dion Phaneuf was very good. But there was also some better defensemen in the league, but Dion Phaneuf was getting all the noise. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, there's you can go on and on. If you're a defenseman in the Canadian market, or if you're in a Canadian market in general and you're just doing good, you're doing great. Yeah. You're doing great.
If Marc-Andre Fleury did what he did in Montreal, you know what I mean? Like you're completely right on that. Completely right.
Boys, I'm glad you started talking about defensemen because our guest is here and he's ready. And I'm going to take a deep breath to get through this introduction, because this is a Canadian man who came into a couple different American markets, which I feel like is tough to do, and certainly made a name for himself. Okay, listen to this. All right, ready? Deep breath. He was a second overall pick in 1993 to the Hartford Whalers. He went to captain the Blues, Ducks, and Flyers with trips to the Cup final in Edmonton in between. How hard is that to take Edmonton to a Cup final? Think about that. He's got 2 Olympic gold medals. He's a member of the Triple Gold Club. He's won a Norris Trophy. He's got a league MVP, the Hart Trophy, the last defenseman to do it. He also beat Jaromir Jagr in his prime by 1 vote to get that trophy. He's a Stanley Cup champion. He's a Hockey Hall of Famer who was traded 3 days before he was named to the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's one of the biggest, baddest, toughest SOBs ever to lace up a pair of skates. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Chris Pronger. Mr. Pronger, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah, Prongs, appreciate you taking the time here. Hey, I want to ask you, what are you up to these days? What's your day look like? You're watching a lot of hockey right now. Where are you at with things?
Yeah, I watch a little bit, not a ton. I watch a little bit. Work on a couple tweets once in a while. Just kind of work within our travel company and kind of manage our staff and make phone calls and things like that. And then, look at investments, look at things. And then it's kind of a culmination of like 5 or 6 different things, be a dad, all that kind of stuff. So it keeps me active and busy and keeps the mind going. So it's moving in a lot of different directions and keeps me, excited about life and excited about what the next day is going to present, because it's always different.
Yeah, I mean, you've been kind of, seems like, doing from the outside, doing a ton of different things, right? And you got a family and all those things, and we'll get into the tweets and stuff later. I want to pick your brain on that a little bit. I mean, we've
Let's
seen
go into the Canadian hockey markets, boys. I heard it.
You heard it? Hey,
let's go.
Yeah, you got Carey Price or Roberto Luongo.
Big markets versus small markets, Canadian markets versus American markets.
Hey.
I mean, you could dissect this thing 100 different ways.
If I had one regret, and like I had control over it per se, but like if I had one regret, or one thing I wish I would have done, is play in the Canadian market. That's my big thing. I would have loved to experience that. So, let's ask this, because you just came in off the heels of us talking about it. Who do you think's better, Carey Price or Bobby Lou? Which is a better goaltender?
We'll put him on the hot seat already.
Yeah.
I would say right now, I would say their careers are very parallel.
Yeah.
I would not say Bobby Lou is here just based on what they've done, but also I think you have to look at 40-year-old versus, what is Carey, 32? Everybody's writing this poor guy off. Everybody's saying he's done. He's 32 years old. And yeah, he had knee, been wherever he's been, and all that stuff. He's got another minimum 5 or 6 years left, at least, if he wants to, right? And it goes back to, if he wants to, if he's going to put the time and effort in and prepare and do all the things that you got to do to be the elite. I remember when he came in the league and Jaro Halak took his job in Montreal. We played him in Philly. And I'm like,
you played him that year, right? That year that they went to the East Finals, right? Is that year?
Yeah, Jaro Halak took his job.
Yeah, we lost.
I remember playing against him, and he was like Pelle Lindbergh. Like when he is on, there is nobody better, because he is so square and so fast at moving within his crease and taking the angle and doing all that. But when he's not, and he's like over sliding, or he's a little bit off, it's not pretty, because it has to be perfect the way he plays to be perfect. And if it's not, he lets in some bad goals.
You're talking about Jaro.
I'm talking about Carey Price.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Jaro there. Because going back to that year, just to, so you guys played Montreal later on.
Were you in Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I was in Pittsburgh. And so we played first round. This was the closing year of the Mellon Arena, the Igloo. Actually, that was the second round. I apologize. But I think first round we played Ottawa. Second round, we played Montreal. And yeah, this is what is that? What year is that, Prongs? That's
2010.
10, yeah, 2010. Yeah. And when you guys went to the finals. So we're playing against Montreal. Halak takes over. He's the goaltender. And I've never seen more, whatever you want to call them, grade A's. Nowadays, they're calling them expected goals for, all that, whatever.
So the analytic verbiage at them.
Yeah. Just for some of our viewers out there that like to dabble in that area. But we threw everything we could at this team. We dominated every statistical number except the scoreboard. And we end up going to game 7. And before game 7, I remember Dan Bilesma walks in the room and they added up, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact numbers, but like say they added up all the grade A's through the first 6 games. We out grade A chanced them like 94 to like 17. And we're in a game 7. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and so we're sitting here like, I don't know if we could beat this guy. He starts getting in your head. And that's that Carey Price factor. I've talked to guys about that before, where guys are saying, whether it's in a shootout or they get a breakaway, they get a chance, how they're coming down because it's Carey Price. It's like a mind fuck to them. Like they can't, they don't know what to do. And they start
a little tight. They squeeze a little tighter. They think, oh, I got to make a perfect move versus just a move.
Yeah. It's different. So we end up going into game 7. That was one of the years Flower had a tough, like in game 7, they got like Mike Camilleri, everything he was touching was gold. They scored like 3 goals in the first 4 minutes and we were done. But like, yeah, that was, you mentioned Yara Halak. That gives me nightmares still that year. He was unbelievable.
Yeah. He lit it up until we played him. You guys must have wore him out.
Speaking of that, Chris, I wanted to ask you about that year because that run was so magical. And although I'm a Pittsburgh fan, I watched Rupper play. I used to root against you guys with the Flyers. Like what you guys did on that run was so crazy because that was the season, I believe, like last game of the season, you guys got in on the shootout win against the Rangers. And then
how funny is that? 2 teams going for the same spot in a shootout in the last game of the year. How often are you going to write that script?
Absolutely surreal. And then you upset the Devils. No, I don't think a lot of people gave you a shot there. And then the down 3-0 to the Bruins. I think everyone kind of wrote you guys off there. You come back again, and then you solve the unsolvable Yara Halak, and you run into what became the dynasty of the Chicago Blackhawks. But I was wondering if you could talk about that run a little bit, because it seems like there's so many things throughout that like never happened in the hockey world, and they all fell in line and happened for you guys.
The start of, it was a very up and down year for a lot of players. Obviously fired the coach maybe 10 games into the year. But Homer came in at the deadline, and there was rumors, as we know with Philly media, there was rumors galore. This guy's getting dealt. This guy's getting dealt. He's going there. He's going there. Homer called a little tete-a-tete and brought everybody into the change room, and he basically laid down the hammers. Like, I'm not trading nobody. This is the team. You're my guys. Go out and show me why you're my guys.
Wow.
And I think from that day on, I think players realized, they obviously respected Homer and realized when the switch snaps, I mean, it's snapped. But there was a few moments in the season where he snapped, but they also realized, all right, let's galvanize the group together. Let's get everybody going in the same direction. Let's just play the game to win and play properly. And we had a lot of guys that wanted to kind of do their own thing and just wanted to screw around a little bit more in the regular season, but come playoff time, they had success in the minors, they had success in juniors or college, what have you, and they just thought they could kind of flip the switch and time to play hard. And as we know, it doesn't work that way. You have to, it's a long grind of a season, but it's preparation. It's getting everybody on the same page. It's getting the group together and realizing, all right, let's come together and be as one. And, with the goaltending, I mean, We had Michael Layton.
Yeah.
We had
Did you guys go through 3 or 4?
We had all kinds of goalies coming in and out, and it was not ideal in that respect. But seeing Bush obviously won the game against the Rangers to get us in. Then Lates came in and played great. And then he got hurt in the Bush played the Boston series. And then Bush got hurt in a game. And it was the game that Lates came back and he was on the bench. So he came in. All those stars have to align perfectly. And it was just incredible run and all kinds of twists and turns and, guys getting hurt and players stepping up. And as Mike knows, you have to have all these things kind of come together and fall into a certain place for you to have that kind of success and ultimately win, which we didn't. But even to get there with everything that went on during the course of the year, it was pretty impressive.
Isn't it funny though, like hearing you say that, and I remember that time vividly thinking like, what a debacle as far as like the goaltenders in and out, this and that, this guy here, this guy there. I think Michael Layton, was in the American League
he was our third string goalie in the minors.
Yeah.
And then was our starter in the playoffs.
So, it was incredible. And I think from like when you think back at that, maybe even me at that time watching it, I was still playing at the time, but now even watching what teams are going through, and we've got teams where and Tristan Jarry in Pittsburgh looks like he might be missing time in the first round. You got Freddie Anderson looking like the same in Carolina, and we start thinking to ourselves, "Oh, they're done. They're done." But like you in that moment with that team, maybe you guys were like, oh, we might have to dot our I's and cross our T's a little bit more. But I always felt like in those situations, like it didn't really faze me when you're on the team. Like we're like, no, we're good. Like we're fucking good, right? Like
I think you've gone through you've gone through 82 games. You've gone through training camp, 82 games. The guys have come up, down, injuries. You see the depth players that are in the minors that whether they're young, whether they're a little bit older, but they're the depth guys. You see what you're having. You're like, okay, we have guys that can come in and fill the roles and step in and contribute. And then in goal, to be honest with you, I don't think we even knew what we had. It was just we came together at the right time. We played pretty solid defensively. I remember game 4 against Montreal. We lost game 3. We were up 2-0. We lost game 3. We came in game 4. All right. We're going to close these guys out because they're not winning back home. And game 4, they had 12 shots. 12 shots total. And of those 12 shots, 6 of them might have been from the red line to the blue line. So, we just had it dialed in and we spanked them and then it was over from there. But when we wanted to really kind of close in and tighten it up, we could. But the goaltending, in my opinion, was kind of like a secondary thing. It was more how we played in front of the goalie.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams that don't necessarily have, I don't know how many times I've ever played in front of a number one, unless it was on the Olympic team or whatever. I played with Furzy kind of later in his career, Hall of Famer. But I never had a chance to play with a Marty Brodeur or a Fleury or guys like that. I've always had kind of these, Jiggy in Anaheim a little bit, but he was even in and out.
Yeah.
And that first year when we won the cup, Briz played the first 4 games against Minnesota because of what happened with Jiggy's son. He just he couldn't do it. So you have to have depth. I think if anything, people need to realize depth is what wins you championships. Having the ability, Chris Kunitz breaks his hand, he can't play. We bring in Drew Miller, Joe Motzko, Mark Hartigan, all these guys come in. They might not be playing on the second line, but they're playing in the Stanley Cup Finals. They're playing a key role in getting you there. They're playing valuable minutes. And it's not easy, especially in that role coming in, not having not even been around the team all year long and kind of coming in and being thrust into this role of having to play NHL final games with everything on the line. kudos to them because they played very well for us.
Well, Chris, let's be honest, you made a lot of goalies look very good with you in front of them.
Rolly,
but I
the
want to ask,
goalie, dude.
I want to ask, 'cause
Rolly.
we kind of,
Speaking of going to a cup in a Canadian market.
that was my next question. You kind of mentioned it right off the bat, and I don't want to get into the whole trade thing and anything like that, but I wanted you to, if you could talk a little bit about, you played in Philadelphia, which is an American market, obviously, but I don't think that's an easy market to play in necessarily.
No,
and then
not one bit.
You were in Edmonton, which is obviously a tough market. It's a Canadian market, and Anaheim, which seems like the exact opposite, the more laissez-faire West Coast American market. If you could kind of talk about the differences of what that's like, that would be incredible to hear.
Yeah, no, I think, coming into Hartford, my first couple years, not exactly the stalwart NHL franchise now in Carolina. And then coming here to St. Louis, playing with Hall of Famers and whatnot. And then going to Edmonton, Canadian market, I would say, probably my prime, or at the peak of my prime.
Oh yeah.
Was awesome. It was to have the opportunity to play in a Canadian market, obviously being Canadian, was awesome. And to have the head coach was a former teammate. One of the assistant coaches, Charlie Huddy, my D coach, was my partner in St. Louis. Craig Simpson, I played against him, at the end of his career when he was in Buffalo, and can't remember. He might have finished there. And then Billy Morris was another assistant coach, great guy, was a Canadian University coach. Smart hockey guy, and then obviously Mac T, who I played with in St. Louis, and then Kevin Lowe, who I played against for a couple of years and had a few stick matches with. If there was a way to go into a Canadian market and kind of have voices around you to kind of protect you from the masses and the throng of Canadiana, if you will. And obviously those guys were a part of the Oilers when they had their cups and the whole run and all that stuff. So they knew the good, the bad, the ugly. It was a great time to be there. Made a trade along with myself. They brought in Mike Pekka, brought in a couple other guys. It was a fun year. It wasn't the easiest on the family front, but it was a fun year playing hockey. And I kept telling Kevin, Ty Conklin was having a tough year. UC Markkinen was having a tough year. I remember playing against my former team, who was dead last, the Blues.
Oh, look at that.
We would outshoot them 45-15 in some of these games that we lost against them. We would outshoot them 45-15 and lose 5-2. Like, come on. Seriously?
Yeah.
And so I kept going to Kevin. I'm like, this team needs a goalie. We need a goalie. We have a good team. We need a goalie. And I kept, saddle up next to him like, Kevin, get us a goalie. Let's go. And he kept saying, I hear you. I'm working the horn. I'm working it. Be patient. We'll get one. I know we need one. We'll get one. Midway through the year, we got Jaro Spacek, who was a great pickup from Columbus, really fit in well on our team. It allowed Marc-Andre Fleury move to the third pairing. I then played with Jason Smith, and then Spacho played with Steve Stejos. So we had a good left-right combo. Matt Green played, and then Ulanov and a couple other Dick Tarnstrom.
Dickie
Tarn.
Penguins legend.
I played against him. I heard stories.
We had some depth and some guys. And then up front, we didn't have superstars up front, but we were pretty solid. One through first, second, third line were pretty evenly matched. And then obviously you had the fourth line, kind of the grit line. And we bounced probably 5 or 6 guys in on the fourth line. And so we had a lot of youth. Brad Winchester was a rookie that year. He kind of provided some physical play and kind of ran around a little bit. And so getting Rolly the goalie was huge. And once we got him, it took probably 2 or 3 weeks for him to, figure out from Minnesota to the system and how we played, and us kind of where he was going to leave rebounds, how he wanted us to kind of block out and all that kind of stuff, where to look, kind of the viewing lanes for the goalie. But once we kind of meshed and gelled, the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, man, we were really good. So going into the playoffs, we had Detroit, who has, I don't know what it was, 62 wins or whatever they had. It was crazy. They had 120 some points. I think it's still a record, but we went 2-2 against them in the regular season. So when we were matched up, I'm like, well, it's not that big a deal. Like, nobody in our locker room was scared. Nobody was like, oh my God, we're dead. Sometimes you just play these teams like, we got no chance. And against them, we were like, well, we were 2-2 against them. We weren't scared of them. We actually matched up pretty well against them. And so when we started in, we typically did the 2-1-2 forecheck. So we had both wingers go against the D-man and then had the center kind of curl. I remember reading an article. We went to the 1-2-2, basically the trap. And a Detroit reporter said, oh my God, the Oilers are cheating. They're not doing the 2-1-2. Oh, they're trapping. They're cheating. I'm like,
not in hockey town.
How are we cheating? So I was just laughing. I'm like, immediately when the media start making excuses, I'm like, we got them.
Yeah, totally. No, that's so good. That's the crazy thing is that you had cup finals with Edmonton in 6. You won the cup in 7.
Yep.
With the Ducks. Then you had cup finals in 10 with Philly, right? Those are the 3.
Yeah.
And I don't want to speak for you. I want to hear what you have to say with this. But off the top of my head, I'd have to assume the most talented and deepest and best teams you're on were in St. Louis. Is that not true?
Arguably, yeah. We ran into in 96 and 90. Well, actually 95, we lost to Detroit and we lost in game 7 with the Yzerman slap shot from the blue line.
Yeah.
That team, we actually had a couple great chances to win game 7 in overtime and didn't score. I think we would have matched up much better against Colorado than they did. Colorado went on to win. 96, 97, we lost to Detroit both years. They go on to win. 98, 96, 97, 98, Detroit. 96 was Colorado. 96, 97, 99, Dallas. Lost to them. 2000, lost to Dallas again. And then 01. Then we lost to then it was the San Jose run. We played San Jose like 4 years in a row in the playoffs. I think we lost twice and beat them once, and then lost the Mike Danton year.
Hey, hey, whoa!
Mike Jefferson.
Hey, he was my roommate in Jersey in training camp. In training camp, we came in. I wanted to. I'm not going to sidetrack on this one, Progs.
No. This is going to take us.
This is a rabbit hole that'll take us to tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I was driving to training camp. I played against him in the OHL, and I remember driving the training camp, and I remember thinking to myself, I wonder who's going to be my roommate at camp. And I was driving from like Cleveland to New Jersey, so I had a long drive across Interstate 80. I'm driving. I'm like, I wonder who my roommate's going to be at camp. I'm like. And I looked on my on the list of guys at camp, and Mike Jefferson's there, and I'm like, I better not. I swear to God, if I'm in a room with that guy. And I remember checking in. to the little shitbox motel. Sorry, hotel would be too nice. It was a motel in New Jersey. The Turtle Brook Inn was the name of the hotel. Yeah, this was West Orange, New Jersey.
Okay,
and so I check in at the front desk, and I turn away, and I'm walking to my room. I turn back, and go, I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you tell me who my roommate is? She's like, Mike Jefferson. I'm like, And he whatever, that's a whole nother story. He's not I actually got along with him all right, but that
Rupper, I'm sorry, but I know there are a lot of people that listen and watch the show that have no idea who Mike
Hey,
Danton.
You know what? You
gotta just give the cliff
all they
notes.
got to do is Google Mike Danton, Mike Jefferson, and it's all right there.
I mean,
And there's been a couple of well, there's been exposés, but there's also been a after all this stuff.
Yeah.
What is he doing now? So people can watch videos on him, and it's all good now.
So yeah. So it's basically, long story short, we'll give him this, Progs, then we'll move on. He was playing in St. Louis.
Yep.
And he had a issue with his agent, and there was this kind of tumultuous relationship where it almost felt like he couldn't shake this guy, and he hired a hitman to kill him. And he got they intercepted
in the playoffs. He got busted.
Happened. Yeah, they just took him away from the team, and he went away.
And that's probably for probably need a good half hour on this.
Oh,
yeah. We'll have you back in the
couple.
postseason, and we'll react that one. But no, anyways, the point being, like, you guys had some crazy ass teams there. You had you in your career. I'm curious,
well, I can tell you the best team we had was 2001 Colorado. This is the Ray Bork year. We're going to win it for Ray.
Mm-hmm.
We beat first round. We beat. I forget who we beat. Then we swept Dallas 4 straight.
Jeez.
Oh no, we beat San Jose. So we beat San Jose in 6. Then we sweep Dallas. We have 8 days off.
Oh no.
8 days off. And Mike, when you're in the playoffs and you're going every other day, you just want to keep going.
Yeah.
You don't want your body to know that it's sore. You don't want to think what's going on. You just want to keep going. Let's go. And we had 8 days off. And Roman Turk's our goalie. And he
Legend.
liked his beers. He liked
Hell yeah.
No, he's one of those guys that he liked to have a few beers or 20, but that was him. Like that's how he relaxed. That's how he got
no
prepared,
judgment.
whatever. Well, we got 8 days off, and this guy's like, all of a sudden, all right, I'm not going to drink now. He literally was funneling pucks into the net. I mean, I remember he had it, you put the paddle down. He had the paddle kind of tilted, go up over the paddle through his legs and in. And it's no fault. I mean, I guess it is his fault, but it isn't. I don't know who told him that. I don't know how I didn't hear about this until after.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? This guy used to go toe-to-toe with Craig Ludwig. And if anybody knows the lore of Craig Ludwig, you know what this guy can do.
Guy blocks 70 shots a game.
Ray Bork scored from the goddamn red line. Come on. Give me a break. It was a very even. We lost in 5. But it was, 1-goal games. They were tight. We were very evenly matched. As you know, the top 2 lines cross each other off. And then we got into the 3rd and 4th lines. And, Sean Podine scored a couple goals for them. They had guys but they weren't like good goals. They were not, grade A, whatever the analytic term is. They weren't those chances. They were like, kind of coming off a wide drive from like the dot. Guy flips one towards the net and it goes in. You're like, come on, seriously? So it was tough. Like we were present. We were good. We were good. We were really good.
Chris, you played with so many Hall of Famers and so many there's Hall of Famers and then there's elite level legends. You played with Hall and Gretzky. You've played against Lemieux and Iserman and all these guys, like when really I feel like hockey was almost in its prime, and maybe it's just nostalgia and I'm romanticizing, but like it feels like it was literally just name after name of all these incredible players.
And by the way, those guys played in the rockin' 80s and then came into the 90s. So you got to see the best of both sides of how they played.
Yes, and that's what I kind of wanted to ask was like, was there did that like live up to your expectation playing against those guys? Was there anyone that kind of surprised you? And maybe who did you not like playing against? Who gave you a tough time? Not that there could be many of them.
I didn't you know what, I always get asked this, and everybody always get asked, who did you not like playing? I did not like playing against anybody.
Ron's is like, I had no problem with anybody.
Yeah.
As long as Roman Turek wasn't in my net, we were good.
No, actually, sober. I would say the one guy that obviously knew Mario Lemieux was when you look at his stats, they're arguably better than Gretz's when you look at them. If you put the games played and you do the all it's impressive.
Yeah.
But playing against him, I didn't realize how fast he was. I didn't realize how good a skater he was, because he's got that long, powerful, loping stride. And in Hartford, played against him, whatever. But then when I got to St. Louis, all right, Mike's like, all right, your match up against him. Da, 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 da. Well, they had some play. He'd come down, he'd cut wide, he'd go close to the boards and just kind of dink it into the middle. I'd go over, close him out. I'm like, I got him. As a guy's flying through, blows past the other defenseman, and it's like a 2-on-1, maybe a 2-on-0. Boom, goal. The guy had 4 and 4. 8 points. I was -8.
Oh, no.
And when we're talking green jackets, I had 2 green jackets on. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, how do you want me to stop this guy? I can close him out. I mean, I can play him one-on-one, but they got some system going here that I don't know how to do it.
Oh man. No, I got two I want to go back to back with you on, because I'm going to bring them both together. And I got to play against you a number of times. Obviously knew who you were prior and watched you. I was, my teen years, was watch as much hockey as I could. You had this mean streak to you, and not even just a mean streak. Like I knew this guy's mean, but I also thought in my head, like, this guy is not right. Like, that's what I thought. I'm like, it's not that he's mean. Like, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to get a stick across the teeth. You know what I mean? And I'm saying this to you in a complimentary way, believe it or not. But like, I guess my thing is like, did you always have that? Like, was that something that you developed? At what point did you start realizing, like, I can physically do what I want out here? And the value, once you have a guy like that, like you're like the measuring stick now. Like, there's no Chris Pronger in the NHL now. The game's different. I get it.
Not even close.
I get it. The game's different, but you show me a defenseman that can strike the fear in people. I'll give you a few, but they're not going to win a Hart Trophy. It's different. Like, did you always have that, or did you get it?
I always played that way growing up. I always took umbrage when somebody would hit somebody. I'm like, okay, I'm going to catch this guy. You come across the middle, boom. Like Adam, Pee Wee. I'm like, okay, kid, you want to hit my teammates? All right, fine. I'll get you. I always had that. I just always had that switch. I just snap, and something would happen. I'd be like, oh, all right. No more being the offensive guy. All right.
Yeah.
Time to settle some scores. And I'd get into, spearing and slashing contests and all that kind of stuff, and play dirty and what have you. But I just wanted to be unpredictable. Sometimes I might lift your stick.
That's
and
a
take
good.
up.
You have to be. You have to be. I don't
Sometimes
care
I
who
might
you
spear
are.
you in the balls. Sometimes I might cross-check you in the teeth. And by the way, I gotta be honest with you, like the millisecond before it happens, I don't even know what I'm gonna do, because it just presents itself, and you're like, okay, what reactionary. I'm gonna take the puck. Boom, I'm gonna spear him, or I'm gonna kind of take it, and I'm gonna throw my hip in you, or I'm gonna cross-check, I'm gonna slash you, I'm gonna let you go wide, and I'm gonna try to break your arm. I mean, it just, and people forget. I mean, I came in the early 90s. This shit was
It was a much different game. Yeah.
I mean, that's how they played.
If you didn't do that, you'd die. Yeah.
Oh no. Well, you're not keeping up with the Joneses, that's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so my point in that, and
I felt bad, by the way. I felt bad one time.
Oh, what was that?
One time, Steve McKenna, all
boy.
6'9" is Steve McKenna,
boy, yeah.
chasing me around, and he was playing in LA, and we're in St. Louis, and he's trying to hit me. He's chasing me around. I'm like, dude, seriously, get away. And he's like, that's my job. I go, okay, that's your job. I get it. That's fine. I go, be careful. Be careful. And somehow the puck wound up on his stick. And I went to lift the stick, and I missed, and I clipped him right here, and I split him wide open.
Oh.
And I felt bad for like half a second. I was like, oh shit. And I was like, I fucking told you I was gonna get you. And he kind of looked at me. I go, don't you fucking come near me again.
Because you brought up a good point there. I like the word you used too, and I'm going to bring it back to one of our guests we had a couple months ago. You said unpredictability, and we had Nick Kiprios on, and Kipper was talking about like different, just superstars, and his terminology, which I mean we've heard this before, but I love the way he put it. He goes, you know what, superstars, they need to get that fuck you mentality. You know what I mean? And Sid's got it. Yep. Sid developed it. We saw Evgeny Malkin do it. He's still not playing right now from his suspension. We
get some space because of that too.
Exactly. So we've seen guys that have created that. Ovi's gotten a little bit of that, and I think some people want to say in the game, yes, the game has changed, but what hasn't changed is that you will be challenged in the NHL on various degrees at various different levels. If that line is going to get very, very, very long, unless you're unpredictable, like you said, and once in a while you buzz the tower, just let them know, back them off a little bit. Austin Matthews this year in the game in Hamilton with the cross check to Rasmus Dahlin, that is, Austin Matthews can score 95 goals this year. We know he can score, but I saw that and I started thinking, this guy's going to turn the corner here.
A little pushback.
And people are, what do you mean turn the corner? This guy's like the best goal scorer in the league. I agree with that, but I think his ceiling's even higher.
Game within the game. They don't realize the game within the game.
There was a line when Austin Matthews would get face washed, would get, after whistles, and he would smile and laugh. And remember, he did it against Ottawa. He'd look on the back of the guy's jersey. Who are you? That was funny. I liked it. I laughed. We laughed. But after 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times of doing that, that line is getting longer and longer and longer and longer and longer. But then when Austin Matthews snaps on Rasmus Dahlin, now all of a sudden it's like, whoa. Now we are maybe going to weed out the guys who aren't really brave enough to test that, right?
Yeah,
like, did you experience that? And just from, not even from you, because you've had that snap factor. Have you seen other superstars that develop that?
You know what? The best part of the era I started in was the referees. You start like Paul Stewart. You start mouthing a guy off. He would pull a linesman and say, let him go. Let him go. You learn real quick. If you don't want to fight that guy, you better not say a goddamn word, because he's going to come in and be like, "Okay, go ahead. I want to watch this one."
You think of all the guys. Think of all the heroes that sit there, and then we'd always joke around that guys who get tough when the linesmen come in. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the head referee being like, stripes. Let's get out. Let these guys do it. No.
I had to go in and kind of rub out Dave Brown and rub out Chief and rub out all these guys. And I'm like, I'm rubbing you out. That's it. And by the way, I got Twister on my team. And I'm like, I'm still rubbing you out. By the way, I don't need you to break your stick over my back.
Yeah. So do you see Stars? Stars have to have that, right? Like they don't have to have that, but I feel like that takes them to the next level.
You do need that in the playoffs. And that's the part where you got to figure out a Connor McDavid and like those guys. Like, yeah, you can mouth off the media and you can do all this stuff and be like, oh, I don't like you ripping on us and doing all this stuff. That's fine. But when you get in the playoffs, there has to be some pushback. Yeah. There has to be some jam on a number of levels. It's one thing to go fast and score goals, and you're not going to have the same amount of space and time in the playoffs. There's going to be, like, let's go back to the Oilers of the 80s, 90s. Esatikin's job was to shadow a guy. They're going to start doing that crap in the playoffs. Like, that's how far it's going to go to shut down guys like McDavid that are basically the team. If he doesn't score, doesn't set it up, him and Draisaitl, they don't win.
Yeah.
So, and that's where, for Pittsburgh with Sid and Malkin and Letang and Fleury, they up through the middle, and then they added pieces on the wings, and it allowed them to kind of freewheel a little bit more and give them a little bit more space in the years that they won. You got Phil Kessel playing on the third line in 16-17. They had more depth and they were able to get away from matchups and all that kind of stuff. You have to have that jam though. And it doesn't have to be cross-checking a guy in the head. You got to fight back though. You have to show you care. And by the way, it's more showing your teammates, I give a shit. I want to win. I'm willing to step outside of my comfort zone and tell somebody on the other team, I'm here. Let's go. I'm here. I'm ready. Yeah. Let's do this.
Chris, speaking of that, to further that effect, like a lot of these guys come into the league now and it's all about protein shakes and working out and maintenance and rest and days off. And we saw, I think everyone in the world saw your jersey retirement ceremony where you had the beer in the middle of the speech. That was absolutely awesome. You've referenced it a couple times. I think I could tell you like to have a good time from time to time. And I think honestly, like, I think a lot of people miss that now from time to time, those bonding experiences maybe of like being out with the boys and having a couple cocktails, having a couple beers or something like that. And Rupper talks about this all the time because he came into the league and you were in that same era where it kind of transitioned from like, okay, beers on the bus and beers after games to, oh, I gotta get my rest in. I gotta get the naps and everything. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, a lot of that, especially when it's funny. When I came in the league in 93, Brad McCrimmon was my roommate, my partner. This guy played in 79 in Boston.
Whoa.
Right? So he was drafted the same year as Ray Bourque. So they came in together. Those guys used to, and again, times change and I get it. But those guys would leave the rink. They'd go to the bar. They'd be there all day. They'd have lunch, dinner. I mean, it was like some guys that had families would siphon out and other guys would siphon in. And I would say then I got to Hartford my first year, we're having dinners and lunches and, not necessarily drinking. And by the way, at that point, that was kind of the start of the health and wellness era, if you will, of the NHL. Like we had guys starting to work out and really kind of get into physical fitness and all that. It was less drinking, more, not so much protein shakes, but just taking care of your body and being prepared. And then I would say one of the reasons why our Anaheim team was so good, every single day we had a team lunch. Somebody bought the team lunch. And it didn't have to be expensive. It didn't have to be, oh my God, we're going to order enough out of this restaurant. It's $50 a guy. It could be Chipotle. It could be a salad. It could be whatever. But everybody had their turn. We all ate together. We all hung out after practice and talked and laughed and, had that team bonding time. And that was, I think, huge for our team in galvanizing us for different scenarios and situations where you run into issues. You can think back on how good your group is together and how tight you are and how much you have the other guys back. And you're able to kind of go back on those situations and instances. And it allows, I think, a little grace period for issues that may manifest throughout. Nobody gets along perfectly throughout the course of a season. I don't care what team you are. There's always guys that have little beefs. Maybe somebody's practicing too hard and they don't like that you got slashed and they're getting mad, or, guy's not playing and he's pissed off and he's going at a guy and, all that stuff. I mean, that's good. That's competition. That's good for the team because you need that. You need that in a long grind of a season. And as my career went on, I could see less and less of the lunches, more of guys like, as the league got younger and younger and younger, there's less of the camaraderie side that a lot of older guys like, and more of the guys going home playing video games and doing a shit on their own with their buddies back home. Because by the way, when I came in the league, there was no internet. Like, give me a break. Cell phones. I had a cell phone. It was probably this big, but it was about 4 pounds. And, it just, as the game and the world evolves, things change and people change. But the teams, I can tell you right now, the teams that are tight, like I know this Blues team does the same stuff. They do a lot of things together. They do the lunches. They do the,
you know why though? You know why? Because look who's at the helm.
Yeah, exactly. Because he knows that's what's going to bring them together. And they know guys like that know the glue guys, By the way, how many fourth liners do you know have played 1,000 games like Chief? That's a long time doing what he did.
Yeah.
And so you got to evolve. Like he knows you got to adapt, you got to evolve. But competition and camaraderie and chemistry and things of that nature, that doesn't change. That is what it is. And so when you bring the group together and you start selling a message and telling teams how they need to play to be successful, and oh, by the way, then you get the captains and people on board to sell it. And then, oh, by the way, you start winning. People start getting the message real quick. Oh, shit, I like winning. I like winning. I don't like getting yelled at when we lose. I like this. Everybody's happy.
Hey, speaking about winning, you hoisted the cup in 2007. And I got to ask you this. Is Scott Nader Mired the most underrated defenseman ever?
Yeah, I would. You know what? I think because of his early tenure in Jersey, he was probably the guy, but everybody looked at Scotty and everybody looked at Marty and everybody looked at some of the pieces around. I don't necessarily think he got the recognition and the media attention, and I think partly that's Lou and how he wants it about the team, and he's a good soldier and all that stuff.
Yeah, you got that accent
awesome.
now perfectly.
Oh yeah, he's a good soldier. But I think I obviously, prior to playing with him in Anaheim, played with him on some Olympic teams. And just number one, he's a specimen. Number two, the kid can flat out skate better than anybody I've ever seen. He felt bad in Salt Lake City in 2002 in the elevation. He took a 2.5 minute shift and went through like 2-3 different partners. And then it's almost like he felt bad. And he was on the other side. And it was just, I couldn't change, but he looked so fresh. I'm like, well, don't change. You're fresh. He went through 2 or 3 partners. I'm like, I'm up, but I feel bad. I'm like, I don't want him to come off. He still looks good. He's just, and then playing with him in Anaheim, he's grittier than people think of him as this finesse guy. He's got some jam. Like he's got some fuck you in him.
He does
There
have
you
And a
go.
lot of
he can
people don't,
snap.
and he snaps. I love when Norm snaps.
Yeah,
but-
Norm, he can snap.
When he snaps,
Normie.
I love it. But most of the time he's got it on that I'm chill mode, and I'm out there skiing, and I'm just grooving in BC. And then every once in a while he snaps. But defensively was where I was impressed. He got into guys. He might not have been like knocking them over,
Right.
but it was a confrontation for the puck, and he was not losing that confrontation.
My go ahead, finish up.
I just there were a lot of times where you get a lot of respect for a player when you see up close and personal, day in, day out. A lot of times you see a guy play him once, you play him twice, like, he's okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And usually it's an out of conference game where nobody cares, and it's like, whatever. We never see these guys just, whatever. When you're playing with somebody day in, day out, practice every day, training in the gym, you see the work, the effort, the preparation, the professionalism, and the leadership qualities of somebody like Norm. It's impressive. And I learned a lot from him. A lot of, obviously being the type of player I was, and the aggressive nature I had with the media at times. And you learn how Scotty would kind of, downplay things, and just kind of, I was very energetic and intense, and he's very chill and relaxed. You learn a lot from seeing how the interactions and how people gravitate towards that. And I took a lot of what he did and brought it to Philly with me, because A, it works, and B, sometimes that's what players need. That's what teammates need.
You guys complimented
Exactly.
each other well.
Exactly. I was kind of the piss and vinegar, and he was the chill, arm around you. Let's go. Come on. We need you. And I'd be like, get your shit going. Let's go.
So my first NHL game, boys, we'll get into this in another episode. I'll tell you about my first NHL shift. It was a whirlwind, and I jump on the ice, heart's racing 100 miles an hour, and I take about 3 strides. Next thing you know, I'm staring at the ceiling of Continental Airlines Arena. I don't know what's going on. The puck was nowhere near me. It was at the other end. And I come to realize that I escaped past, we were playing against Florida Panthers. I escaped past Peter Worrell, and his elbows me. His elbows me right. He elbows me. Yeah. We went by. He just gave me the chicken wing. The puck was in the corner. I was at the center ice red line. Just chicken wings me. Hits me in the face. I'm looking up the ceiling. I don't even know what happened. I got up, and now the puck's coming out of Florida's zone. Worrell goes down to play the puck as a winger on the wall, and he skates down to the puck. Puck's getting rimmed around the wall, and he starts kind of skating with it. Now he's skating up the wall, but he's looking over his shoulder the whole time. And I'm from center ice, just beelining it in as hard as I can. I don't know if I'm going to play another game after this one, so I want to get noticed. I take the biggest, hardest run of my life at Peter Worrell. Hit him. It was like a huge, both of us just boom. And we get up, and I never fucking hightailed it so fast out of there. I hightailed it out of there. I did it like a hard back check. Then I went for a line change, and I'm just trying to catch my breath. I was like, all right, my first shift's on my belt, whatever. I'll bring us back to needs. This game, I'm just in survival mode. Fortunately, I'm on the receiving end of a couple Patty Eliash passes. Boom. I end up getting 2 goals in the game.
Wow.
I'm sitting there in the locker room. After the game, I'm sweating bullets. I may have had a stroke at some point. I don't know what the fuck's going on. And all of a sudden, I sit there and I look across the room, and in one corner of the room, we got Scotty Stevens taking his shirts off, just chiseled. And I'm looking to him, and I'm looking down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got some work to do, And then I look over at Needs. Needs is what was the brand? Remember the blue shirts you used to wear?
Yeah, not even sweating.
Dude, boys. Like Needs had like feathery hair, right?
Yeah.
It guys, right here, maybe a tinge, like from top of his ear to his sideburn, maybe like a drop, like bone dry hair,
Barely
dry
sweating.
hair.
Just out
And
there
he-
for a Sunday skate, 25 minutes.
he had a
whatever.
he had a dime shaped sweat mark right between his chest. That's it. The light blue shirts that all the boys used to wear, bone dry. And then I look, he played 31 minutes in the game. He played more than half the game.
Jesus.
And I'm
Just
like,
out there
this guy's not even
cruising
real.
around.
That's not even he's not even human, man. He's not even human.
Floating around on the ice, just cruising around. Whatever.
Yeah, he was unreal.
Was that 2002 team in Salt Lake the best team you were ever a part of, Chris?
You know, I actually got a question on Twitter about who would win between the 2002 team and the 2010 team. And I can be honest with you, it would be a good tilt because you got the 02 was more physical. You got Lindros and Owen Nolan and some of that ilk, and then you got obviously Korea and Lemieux and Yzerman. You know, at the time we had the bad knee, and we had Shanny, we had a
Big boys, yeah.
we had a big physical team.
Monster.
And then, in 10, it was like the changing of the guard after 06 where we shit the bed. It was like a changing of the guard, and we had a lot of young guys. We had Getzy and Perry's and Brendan Morrow and Sid and Stahl. Who else is on that team? Young guys, Doughty, Duncan Keith, Steve Brooke. It was me and Scotty were the oldest guys, and then Marty. We were the old guard, and then pretty much the rest was kind of like a transition. So it was it would be a good game. It would be interesting. You had a little pushback with the younger guys, but not the size. Not if it was a physical game, 02 would win for sure.
Chris,
that line with
02, we also had Jovo.
Jovo Cup.
Blake. We had some big boys in the back end too.
That Chris, line with Lemieux and Korea was insane in that tournament. Insane.
Yeah. Were those games, were they fun to play, or did you feel any pressure, or was that just like, hey, we're with everybody here, let's just go out there and have a good time?
I would say that the 1 year in '98, the first year with Gretzky and that whole, the first year we went over to the Olympics in Japan, that was, I mean, I personally didn't feel pressure because I was too young to really realize the magnitude of what was going on. But you could tell we were playing not to lose every game. We weren't playing to win. We were just, you could get that sense. And then 02, we lost that first game. We got smoked by Sweden.
Yeah.
And make the goalie change. And then after that, we kind of slowly got better and better and better. And the same thing in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Marty got yanked. We got smoked by US. Marty got yanked. And Louis went in, and then we just got better and better and better. And it was unfortunate, I think, in both cases for Cujo and Marty. We didn't quite we didn't have our sea legs underneath us. We hadn't gelled together. It's a process, especially for Canadian teams. There's so many players that always changes. A lot of U.S. teams, when you look at them, they're the same. A lot of Russian teams, it's the same players. Czech teams, Swedish teams, Finnish teams. There's a lot of the same players with a few new guys. So, like 2010, brand new team. Outside of 4 or 5 guys.
Yeah.
02. There was a lot of new players compared to 98. And so it takes a little bit of time. And a lot of times, especially when it's the physical players, as Mike knows, there's a lot of this early on. It takes a little time to get past some of the tomfoolery that's gone on throughout the course of the year. So, and once that, and the guys have a couple beers, relax, have a few laughs. Oh, yeah, you got me, blah, blah, whatever. And then you get past the round robin. Okay, now you're in the real You're in the playoffs. You're in the quarterfinals, semifinals, game, finals. Guys buckle down and understand and realize, all right, it's game time. This is what we're here to do. We came here to win a gold medal.
Yeah, I got one thing. I was when I was looking, I knew you've been suspended a couple times, so I looked up to see what that number was. Maybe once or twice. Actually, the number was 8. I think 8 times, if I'm not mistaken. 8. So I was curious because I want to ask
1.6 million, whatever.
Oh, 6.
Are you serious?
It's a big number, boys. It's a big number.
Is a big number. Hey,
No.
that makes
players. By the way,
shit.
It's not the Players Helping Players Fund. It's the Chris Pronger Helping Players Fund.
Yeah, exactly. That's incredible. I want to ask you this. Is obviously a little tongue in cheek, but you may feel this way because I think I got absolutely fleeced on my suspension. So I want to know which is there a suspension that you thought you got screwed on, and is there a suspension that you thought was worth every penny?
I would say this, every single suspension was worth the money. I got fleeced on a few because it was not taken in context, and I get chirped all the time. Oh, you kicked the guy with your skate. I go, why is he holding my leg? I
should have been standing there.
I was playing with a broken jaw. The guy tried to elbow me and break my jaw again. Oh, by the way, I knocked him over. And then he wants to wrap his legs around me and not let me go. And I'm like, okay, let me go.
Yeah.
And I stepped on him with my skate. I pushed him with my skate and didn't even cut his sock. So how hard could I have hit him?
Yeah.
Seriously.
No.
And by the way, you don't want to know how much that one cost me. That was 8 games.
Oh,
8 games you got for that.
8 games, and that was a 1-for-1 deal.
And hold on though, but see that's the thing though,
that was a 8 for 82, not a 8 days. That was an 8 for 82.
Oh,
8 for 82.
Yeah.
So you at that time you had the guard on.
I had a full deal on because I had a broken jaw. So
now,
just so you know,
how does that come into that conversation when you're getting the call from
it doesn't because
safety?
they don't want to listen to it.
Okay.
By the way, if I wasn't me, I wouldn't have been playing. I would have been like every other guy and sat out 2 months and let it heal, and I wouldn't have played. But I don't, and I did play.
And he targets your jaw.
And this guy targets my jaw.
Yeah.
And I take umbrage. And he goes down like a sack of shit, like he is. And he knows who he is.
we all know who he is. Hey,
exactly.
Hold on a second. Can we go down? Can we go down this rabbit hole here too now, Nick, or no? What do you want to do? This is the same guy you and I were talking about earlier today.
Oh yeah.
And he
have to then.
And he tried to take my jaw out. I said, no, not today, Junior. Down he went, wraps his legs around me and won't let me go. And I'm like, I try to pull my leg out, not once, not twice, but a third time. And finally, I'm like, yank it out. And I have to put my foot on the ice. His leg got in the way. And
oh, so good, man. So, hey, worth every penny.
It happens.
It happens.
Well, that's what you mentioned there, Chris, is the context. You don't get that a lot of times when you see
you also don't get, I mean, listen, I stepped on him with my skate. It's against the rules. I served my penance. I get it. And by the way, it is very dangerous. So nothing happened to him, but on the 1 or 2% chance that something did, it would have been very bad because I'm wearing a blade. So I get it. I'm not saying I'm without, what's the term? Fault.
Yeah.
But still, he created the situation and he created the problem.
So you spent a little bit of time.
And I finished it.
yeah, there. And That's usually what happens. Someone finishes it, even if they don't start it.
Yes.
You spent a little bit of time with the Department of Player Safety. I was just wondering if you could talk about what that experience was like, because you obviously, as a player, had some suspensions. You dealt with that. Then you transitioned into a role working for the league, and you kind of see the other side of it. And you probably also saw some of the criticism that department faces, because the job is incredibly difficult, and everyone and their mother online and on Twitter has an opinion about every single thing that happens. So I was hoping you could talk a little bit about that experience.
So to the last point, at no point are you ever thinking about Joe Blow fan. At no point. And when you're making a decision, or you're putting a ruling together, you're going off past precedent, you're going off what's in this. And here's what people don't realize. All of this stuff is in the CBA. You can only give so many games for X.
Yes.
You can only give X, Y, Z. Like, it's not like we're throwing random stuff into the clouds.
Yeah.
It's in the CBA. Like, it's there. We have to follow the protocol. And then what happens is you get GMs that lose their marbles because their star player or their player that they can't live without is suspended. And ideally, as I was in the job and talking to GMs at the meetings, whatever, if both GMs are mad, it's a great ruling.
Oh, there
because
you go.
Nobody's happy.
There you go.
Oh my God, I can't believe that guy didn't get more. Oh my God, I can't believe he got so little. Like, nobody's ever going to be happy. It's never good enough for anybody. It's like being a referee. It's never good enough. There are always going to be missed calls. There's always going to be things that aren't handled the way somebody thinks it should happen.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of times where I was like, this is more. This is more. This is dirty.
Yeah.
And I know dirty. So this is dirty.
Yeah.
And in the CBA, it only calls for a fine. And I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah. See, that's what I think that's what people don't realize, because people always want to take it and a lot of times. Why
don't they suspend players? And here's the biggest problem I have. People are like, oh my God, when somebody gets a concussion, oh, well, they should be suspended until the player comes back.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, how many times, I can tell you, there are tons of times I see players get hit from behind where you're like, oh God, this is going to be ugly. And the player gets up and he's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then a guy gets hit and it looks like it's nothing. And the guy's out 3 months.
Yeah.
You start going off the length of a guy's injury, you're asking for trouble.
No one's gonna be playing.
Well, you're gonna get, you're a 13th, 14th forward. Stay down. It's okay.
Yeah.
That guy's a star player.
Yeah. Slippery.
You're asking for problems when that happens. It has to be, follow the guidelines, number one, but it also then has to follow all the protocols set into place. There's a reason all this stuff is there, so that a GM, if they want to, or an assistant GM or a salary cap guy or whoever they have doing it, can track and follow all this stuff, which, by the way, none of them do, because they have jobs to do. Nobody knows. We put out all these videos and they put out all these things and we walk people through it. Nobody pays attention. Nobody cares. But when their players get suspended, they care.
Yeah, they care then.
It's a necessary evil, but it can be a hard job, because there's a lot of times there's things that happen where, especially, we were involved in rule changes and things like that. The whole Rule 48 thing, I wasn't there for the initial part, but there was a couple iterations. And what happened was you put in this hit to the head rule. So then players started, instead of being here, they were here and they're lining up on a shoulder. Well, the player getting hit feels like, oh, I can get out of the way. So they then move out of the way. But what happens when you move out of the way? Your leg is trailing. So then we started seeing more knee injuries, things of that nature. Or you start seeing more shoulder injuries because the guy's trying to get out of the way and he's getting hit or, what have you. It just, there's always an equal and opposite reaction when you make changes like that.
Yeah.
And it can be challenging. You really got to kind of, re-engineer everything. How is it going to affect everything else? Instead of just slapping, oh, let's do this new rule. Let's do this. Oh, the fans want this new rule. Let's do this new rule. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. There's rules that make sense and you deal with the consequences. And then there's rules that you're like, whoa, slow down. Let's look into what else this is going to cause, because it's going to create another issue. What is that issue and can we live with it?
Thank you for explaining that, because I think a lot of people, we live in this instant gratification society where like, oh, my guy's hurt. My favorite player is hurt.
Yeah.
He was injured on a
and they
play.
don't think about it until their guy gets hurt.
Exactly. And then, as you mentioned, there are other consequences that happen whenever you make those modifications. And you mentioned the adjustments. You see more knee on knees. You see more shoulder injuries. You see more things that happen.
And by the way, it's not purposeful.
Right.
It's not, it's a guy that's called up that he needs to get a piece of a guy. His job, my job is to do this. I got to get a piece of the guy. He's trying to just get a piece of a guy. And the other guy's like, oh no, I can get out of the way. And when you're trying to get out of the way, unfortunately you're on blades and you can't pull your leg back that fast. So you're trying to figure out how that's going to manifest itself and create other issues that either you can deal with or not deal with.
Hey, Prongs, I appreciate how generous you've been with your time, dude. Like we could literally have you on here for 9 hours. I have so many other things.
Legend, dude.
I haven't even got to what you wanted to talk about.
I know.
Let's go.
I have so many
Let's
things.
Go.
But so this is the part we got to touch on though, and you mentioned at the top. You just got Twitter. Follow him at Chris Pronger. It's you came in hot, man. I wouldn't expect anything differently from you. You came in hot.
Thunder.
You came in hot to the Twitter atmosphere, and it's been an interesting follow. So I just want to know. I mean, it was everybody. I mean, you caught the hockey world on fire with these threads, just talking about player finances, things that maybe people don't realize all the time. So I just want to know, what was the driving force with it? What were you? Is it just things to share with people, and just kind of how you came about in doing that?
Yeah, I think first and foremost for the haters and the people that you know what, I shouldn't say haters. I should say the common Joe that's 9 to 5, making a living. I'm not whining. I'm not complaining. I'm not making these athletes out to be larks in any sense. I'm just stating facts of what the general scenario is revolving around athletes. And what happened was I was in Austin, and a guy I know lives there now, and he's from St. Louis, was a kid when I was playing here, and he had a big exit. He sold his company, made a boatload of money, and we went out for dinner. We're talking about it. What do you do? What are you doing with it? What are you going to invest in? All that kind of stuff. And he started asking about athletes and, business people. Listen, business people do stupid stuff with their money just as much as athletes, but maybe
all
not
the time.
But I digress. He started asking me about athletes, and I said, it's hard because when you're an athlete, typically you're 19, 20 years old, turning pro. You're making, $750, $1 million, $1.5 million, whatever it is. And what do we know? All you've done is play hockey your whole life. You really don't know anything about finances. You maybe had a bank account as a kid, putting $5 lawn mowing money in there or whatever. Right? I mean, I don't know, but that's what I did. And I had a bank account, but I didn't really know that much about credit cards and debit cards and, the world of finance and in the most generic, simple term. And so we start talking, and he's like, that's interesting. And he'd ask questions and I'd answer him. He's like, you should do a thread on that. I think people would really be interested in kind of where the money goes and how it lays out and kind of the numbers behind how quick people go broke and all that, because most people in 19, 20, 21, they're in college getting shit-faced with their buddies.
Yep.
They're not playing pro hockey, pro football, pro baseball, whatever, right? Making $1 million, doing whatever. Oh, by the way, it's not $1 million. It's typically half. So it's 500. And oh, by the way, there's all this other stuff. And you're going to want to buy a car and you're going to want to do this. And how many guys do you know that come into that money at 19, 20 make sound business decisions? Not many. There are a few, but they're like the vocal
few and far between.
Minority. And you always got the people that are like, oh, you're rich now. You can buy me a drink or you can buy me dinner. You can do this. You can do that. All the things that we've all gone through. And it's, he was just like, you should do this because I think people will be interested in it and interested in understanding the dynamic and how it happens. And everything that I put in my thread, I did 100%. Buying, not necessarily buying cars, but, I wanted to have a cottage.
Yeah.
Why? Like, do you really need a cottage? You're going home for 2 months a year. But I wanted a cottage. So I put a whole pile of money in a cottage. Would I have made more money being invested in the market and doing 100%? But you're 19, 20 years old, man. You want to get out of your house. You lived on your own your rookie year, your second year. You're like, I want to live on my own when I go home. I don't want to live with my parents.
Chris, right? Our boss and my friend Pat McAfee played in the NFL for 8-9 years. In similar situation, he came into the league as a 22-year-old who came from almost nothing. And he says it all the time, like, you're given this large sum of money and you see things that you can absolutely afford in the moment. How are you supposed to say no to that?
By the way, at an incredibly young age, when you think your life is in front of you,
yes,
you're not only are you not necessarily financially savvy, but what athlete do you know that thinks about the end at the start? I don't know any athlete that in year 1, 2, 3 is like, oh shit, man, I'm going to be done and I better start. Nobody's thinking like that. But you might not think like that, but you can kind of siphon off. You could set up parameters and a percentage, whatever it is, and then you've got this money that you can be like, okay, I'm gonna enjoy myself and reap the rewards. And I've put in all this time, and I've become successful, and I want to do X, Y, Z. But you got to realize you need to start young because the average career is 4 years. And oh, by the way, I was 28, had not signed my big contract yet in St. Louis when I broke. Oh, no, did I? Maybe I did. Oh, I had just signed my big contract, broke my wrist. I thought my career was over. And I still had this big contract. And I was like, what am I going to do? I was 28, 29 years old going, what's next? I don't know if I can play like this. And I had already made a ton of money, but I was still going, oh boy, how am I going to do all this? And for most guys, if let's say you start as a 20-year-old, you're playing the minors a couple years, you play pro 3 years, maybe 4. That's 6 years pro. That's more than the average. You're not making a ton of money. Typically, if you're in the minors and then you're starting your pro career, you're near the bottom on the pay scale. You might have, if you're lucky, $1 million in investable money, maybe. After taxes, after all the stuff that's gone on, after cost of living, and that's not even living the life of Riley.
Yeah.
So, and then, oh, by the way, you do a couple bad investments because some guy talked you into, oh, we're going to hit a home run for you. We're going to crush it. You're going to triple your money in a year.
Oh.
How many times have we heard those deals? Oh, don't worry. You're going to triple your money. You're great. Going to be great. And oh, how to do? Not good. And we've all done it. We've all seen these guys. We've all come across people that sell you this dream. You've hit your home run. Why do you need to hit another one? And again, and I'm first and foremost want to tell you, I've made these same mistakes. Just like if anybody hasn't seen, read up on Shaq. This guy spent $1 million in a day.
Hey, why do you think he's still doing every commercial under the sun?
No, but the guy's going to be a billionaire. But he had to learn quickly, holy shit, I can't do this and come out on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I need to put parameters in place and invest my money wisely and do this and do that. And, ultimately when you're making 20, 30, 40 million a year playing basketball and endorsements and all that, and you're a superstar, yes, you're going to do that. But, oh, by the way, that's a handful of players. We're talking about the average player in the league. Even if let's say the average player that has a really good career, plays 8 years and makes a couple $1 million a year on average. Right off the bat, you're losing half.
Yep.
So now you got $8 million. Now you got to go through all the other math. Let's just say you come out on the other side, you got $5 million invested. What's your cost of living? How are you going to live? How are you going to reverse engineer what you can live on? Are you able to function and get a real job? Do you want a real job? Can you do a real job? You go on, it keeps going and going and going. What does it look like on the other side? And oh, by the way, these, you get in, you earn, let's say, a couple $1 million a year. You then live your lifestyle based on $2 million a year.
Yeah.
Which is not.
That ain't forever.
You're not going to do that forever, land. You
Yeah.
have to come back to reality and go, okay, what does my money allow me to, and who wants to go backwards? And the problem is people are unwilling to go, shit, I can only afford this. Who wants to live in this big house and then go back to this smaller house? Nobody wants to do that, but you have to.
Yeah.
You don't want to, but you have to. And so a lot of it is ego. A lot of it is, lack of education as it relates to finance and money management and all that kind of stuff. And I don't blame the players one bit because that's not what they do.
So should the PA or the agents be doing more? Like, where is it being dropped here?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think it's. By the way, we all know how kids are nowadays, and agents. Nobody wants to piss them off. They don't want to get fired. You can't tell them what to do. So where does it? Where does the rub end and where does it start? The PA and the league do their summer deal but it's a bigger, finance is a small piece of it, and finance is incredibly complicated and incredibly, it's a friggin' behemoth. And really you want the players just to have a little bit of information and a little understanding. And oh, by the way, let me go back to they're 20, 21, 22. What kid at that age wants to know all that shit? Right? Like,
yeah.
So that's the chicken and the egg. How do you get a kid to pay attention and believe it? And then how do you get, whether it's an agent to sell it or the PA to sell it? And I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the league's job. The league's job is to pay them. That's their job. Their job is to give them the money. They can't tell them how to spend it too. Like, that's ridiculous to look at the league and say they can partner with the PA and they can put resources towards education and understanding and that type of stuff. But some of the onus is on the kids. Some of the onus is on the parents. Some of the onus is on PA, the agent. However, I don't necessarily know if I have an answer or an understanding as to what it is yet. Since I sent out that tweet, I've talked to a whole pile of people. I got a bunch of calls set up. I'm trying to figure out if there is a way to help steer and guide kids. But at the end of the day, the problem is they're kids. and they're gonna.
Yeah.
And I tell, and this is what I tell people at the outset. I was 18 years old. Brad McCrimmon was 36 years old. This guy could have been my dad. And he told me everything that was going to happen. I mean, we had some incredibly great conversations laying in bed at night, just sitting there hanging out. He's yakking away, and I'm just like a sponge listening to everything, and he's chewing my ear out. And he every single thing that he told me, bang on. But I'm 18, 19 years old, and
you know better, right? Yeah.
I got to make the mistakes myself. Why would I listen to this old fossil? What does he know? I got to go make the mistake myself. And I did. And I learned real quick he was right. And so there has to be a better way. I don't know what it is.
You just want people to talk about it, right? Like just talk about it. Like,
I don't want it to be a one and done where
right. Yeah.
we're going to talk about it. And oh, by the way, next week it's going to be done.
Yeah.
How do we, and it's not even change, it's more affect long-term capabilities of surviving, coming out on the other side and being whole, not coming out going, how many athletes that come out on the other side and go, that was brutal. That was, honestly, you'd be shocked, Nick. You're laughing. I can tell you, there's lots that are like, I had a good time, but I come out on the inside, I'm beaten, I'm battered, I'm concussed, I've got a bad knees, I've got bad hips, I've got a bad back, I've got XYZ.
Yeah.
I have no money. I'm divorced. I can't see my kid. I mean, whatever it is, there's, and in my thing, I said 50%. When you start adding in broke or bankrupt, divorced, or alcohol problem or drug problem or whatever, the number's like 70 or 80%.
Oh, I bet the self-control it takes to be able to.
So it's
unimaginable.
The numbers are daunting and sad at times. And, when I was talking to this guy, the Sampar is the guy who I'm talking about. When I was kind of walking him through it, he was kind of jaw drop, like, oh my God, these stats and these numbers and, they're sad. I'm like, yeah, because these are people's heroes. And some of them are beloved. Some of them are people that talk about goals, like Mike's goal, win the cup, like talk about guys. And they're always in your memory. And I remember so-and-so. And then you get to the question, by the way, what is that guy doing now? And he's unfortunately could be Joe Murphy or could be, some of these guys. It's sad. I played with Joe. I played with Joe here for 3 years in St. Louis. It's sad when you see things like that happen and you shake your head and you're like, hey, how does it get that far? And so it just, as we were talking, it touched a nerve, and I was like, well, I don't care. Fuck, let's do it.
Yeah.
We helped me kind of curate the threads, and here we are.
Well, we're glad you're doing it. I think this conversation needs to happen. And just like you've been with us for the past 2 hours here almost, like, Chris, you are an open book, it feels like. And I don't know if a lot of people know that, but I feel like they could learn a lot from listening to your stories and your time. You've been incredibly gracious with your time. And like, we're learning. I feel like a sponge. I'm trying to soak it up like you were with Brad McCrimmon there. I'm taking it all in. Like,
by the way, hairiest man alive, the Beast. we would get into the hotel room, buck naked, turn the thermometer down to like 60. I'm in my bed, like I got icicles coming out of my nose. And he's like, oh my God, it's so hot in here.
That right there is the reason why you're the perfect guy to get this message out, because you just transition from stuff that's a real problem that needs to be situated and help these people out and players out, and to also talk about the hairiest man in the league. So, and I love that. So you know what, dude? I'll tell you this: those tweets, you know it. You have your phone's probably ringing off the hook. Your Twitter mentions, all that stuff. It got people talking. And so, you know, we appreciate you for using your platform and your realness and getting it out there, man. I'm excited to see where it goes. I know you said to a lot of people, hey, give me a follow. So give them a follow, all of our viewers here.
Yeah, we got a couple brewing right now. You're gonna like them.
There we go. And we'll be watching, buddy. Because it's a good thing you're doing here. And it's well needed.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, Chris, we need to have you back at some point, hopefully before the end of the playoffs or something. You were so gracious with your time. We absolutely appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank you, boss.
Thanks for talking.
Hey, go Stars, pal. Go. You said you swept the Stars. That kind of shut me up for the rest of the show.
They deserved it. They had already won a cup. Whatever.
Yeah, 99. Foot in the crease. They all count, huh?
Oh, man.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, boys. Take care.
Cheers, boss.
Rupper, you did it again.
Dude,
dare I say best guess we've ever had.
Dude, we're 2 hours. We're 2 hours right now. I swear to you, like I'm sitting here and I know we'd want to keep these down, but I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, we literally could probably have this guy on 7 more times.
That could have went till midnight. I
feel like we just scratched the surface.
He wouldn't have stopped. He wouldn't have stopped.
There's so many things I didn't even talk. We didn't even talk to him about Plaster and Justin Bieber against the glass at the Celebrity All-Star game. Like, there's so many things. But
we gotta have him back.
Yeah, we should, man. It's I just love the passion, right? So you can see like what he was as a player.
It's rare you see a guy that talented, that good, play for that long, and then be so open and honest with what he has to say, right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's just because that's what we're conditioned to in the hockey world, where like the guys on the upper echelon are more quiet, more reserved, don't want to steer themselves.
They care too much what people think, and as opposed to just saying what you feel and what you say, what you want.
Chris
to say.
Pronger, I mean, that man has done every single thing you could want to do as a professional hockey player, and he was ready and willing to talk about anything we asked him.
Yeah,
and that was great, man. I mean, that was amazing. We can't thank him enough.
No, that was good. That was good, boys. Like I was, that was a long one, but dude, he was. I could tell right off the hop too. Was like he was into it right away. Like
he said, "Hey, right away." Like everybody knows, hey, there was some stuff going on with him in Edmonton. No one knows exactly what it was, but there was some conflict. He said, "Hey, let's go. Let's get into it." And we joked about Gumpy. Gumpy's been wanting to talk to him about it, and he was like, "Hey, bring it on!" Like that was just absolutely amazing. Everybody in the chat and who stuck around for this long, we appreciate you and thank you so much. Everybody watching live, do us a favor and go ahead and tweet at Chris Pronger on Twitter and let him know, like, "Hey, thank you, Chris, for that conversation and for just spending the time with us," because that was above and beyond, I think, what we would have expected. We pushed the show back a little bit for him because he had a prior engagement, and boy, in no way am I disappointed we did that because he exceeded expectations by 1,000. I can't say enough good things about that guy, and saying that as a Penguins fan about a Flyer is tough to do. But
that is tough. That is tough.
That man, what a guy.
You know what else is tough? Is it still 4-2 Oil? What do we got?
Yeah, tied it at 2, and then they went up 4-2. Vegas is down 1-0 though, so I mean, as long as everybody else keeps losing.
Okay.
There we go. So all these teams gave us some push, and everyone's just going to be backing into the playoffs. Beep, 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 just right into the playoffs. Come on, man! Like wins to go into the playoffs, right?
I was hoping we were going to sneak and then not have to play Colorado first round, but it feels like that's inevitable.
Hey, crazier things have happened, Gump. Crazier things have happened. The Columbus Blue Jackets beat a historic Tampa Bay Lightning team, and what was that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
That
Now,
is
3
true.
years ago. Now.
This is
People-
the
people already
thing,
forget
and
about it.
I've been saying this all along. If Dallas wins game 1, thoughts creep in that Colorado team's head, but you got to win game 1 because
here's what I'm going to do regardless is I'm going to have to assume that the book is going to have such a heavy favorite. Yeah. I'm going the other way. You got to go the other way. I mean, would we be surprised?
Stars could be plus 2.5 first game. I honestly think they could.
Yeah, 100%.
They're plus 1.5 minus 150 in Edmonton tonight. But you look at the Habs. Look at when the Habs beat the fucking Leafs last year, dude. They were plus 200 favorites, and
you
Vegas,
took them the whole way.
200. I rode them till the end. I lost in the end in the Stanley Cup, but I mean the run they went on, it was fucking worth its price in gold. I mean, I was taking a money line every night. Fucking the lowest they were against, like they were plus 140, plus 150 at home against the Leafs when they were up in the series. Like who is that team this year? I don't see that team this year. I don't. I know a goalie always gets hot, but I don't see it.
If you're asking me right now, and Washington.
No, I don't. Yeah, I agree. They
got a goalie that can get
really
hot,
well
though.
right now, but I still think that'll dry up at some point.
I'd like to think so too, Rupper. But I mean, I've seen it happen before, and I've seen it happen to them on the opposite end of things.
You know what I think is starting? What I think is starting to shape up here, and I never, ever, ever thought that I would think this. I think what we're starting to see, and there's still some more things to happen, we might be seeing the perfect storm for the Toronto Maple Leafs this year.
No.
I don't know, man.
That, dude.
I mean,
on the back burner,
Gumpy will clip that. He will have that ready and
Carolina,
waiting. Be careful.
Carolina loses their starting goaltender. Okay.
Yeah.
They've looked pedestrian as of late.
Yes.
Tampa is, I'm not really sure.
I love that saying, by the way, Rapper. I love that.
Are they out of gas? Is Tampa out of gas?
A lot of hockey. They've played a lot of hockey.
They've played a lot. The Florida Panthers, they're fucking riverboat gamblers. Are you really going to ride that? Are you going to ride that to the finals? I did think, and I used to say it was a mirror image of Toronto and Florida, but I'll tell you what, since they got Labushkin and Mark Giordano and Jake Muzzin, they actually have defensemen. Hang on to it. They actually have defensemen that can fucking defend this year. Like, they do. And I'm not joking. Like they have, like, I love Morgan Riley. I love him. He's great. He's going to do his thing. But in the years past, they've had 6 defensemen that are all interchangeable parts that are like, this guy's struggling. We're going to plug this guy. No, give him a job, have him do the job. They got that now. Like, I don't know, man. I think that Toronto is, I'm starting to think the East is a lot more wide open this year than I thought it was.
Are we counting out the Bees?
I am, yeah. I don't like the Bees.
I think the goaltending situation hurts the Bees, but I wouldn't count them out for a round or two. Like, I could see them getting out of the first round and making some.
Would you say that if Toronto had to pick between, well, who would you rather? If you're Toronto, would you rather play Tampa or Boston?
Oh,
Boston.
Oh,
I'd rather play Boston too. And that's why I think it's the perfect storm, because the scar tissue is there. But that's how you,
man. That's how you this fucking road.
No,
dude.
But hey, Gumpy, that's how you rewrite it. You beat these guys.
I know,
just like when Washington finally beat Pittsburgh. Look what it did for them.
That's true.
These guys beat Boston first round. If that happens,
what if they don't?
I'm gonna ride them all the way. If they don't, then they should sell the whole team.
The fucking Leafs, Ruff.
I never thought, dude. I had a hat.
Mute your mic.
I got it.
Fucking Leafs, dude.
I gotta see if
You'd
I have this
with
hat. Still.
Jackie Redmond too much.
She put you up to this. Redmond put you up to this.
It is the best hat I ever had in my life. And my mom like kept all my like hats and stuff in my closet. I gotta see if I find this. I had this hat when I was a kid. First of all, look what hat I have on. So that's
Bold.
so I had this hat when I was a teenager. My parents went up to Toronto for something and they came back and they brought me, I wasn't a Leafs fan. They just brought me a hockey hat, a Leafs hat, the best hat in the world. Instead of, had the Leafs logo, instead of saying Toronto Maple Leafs, it said Toronto Make Me Laughs. And it was the best hat ever.
Yes.
I wore that thing like ragged. And I've always in my mind have seen them and thought of them as the Toronto Make Me Laughs. And I might have to throw the fucking hat away this year. I don't know. They might not be the Toronto Make Me Laughs any longer.
Rupper, what do they have to do? Like, I know everyone said, but if they win 2 rounds, can you run it back with this team again next year?
Yeah, I think they would.
Like, what do they have to do to not make a major change? Is 1 round enough?
No, I think you're right, Gumpy. I think it's 2. I think the over/under is 2 rounds.
I think it's I think two rounds is what gives them which allows them to save face.
Also depends on how it goes, right? Because let's say they lose in round 2,
get boat raced,
but the goaltending is fluky or something like that.
Yeah.
It's almost a built-in excuse. And maybe there's a GM change or something like that. But like they obviously went into the season with goaltending suboptimal, and they got the performance of a lifetime out of Jack Campbell, and he seems to have found it again after a big schneid there in the middle of the season. But you kind of have that built-in excuse like, oh, okay, well, we can run it back if we try and get a goaltender, and that might be the last straw.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, Gumpy. I think even if they win 1 round, I think eyes are still on, and I think the pressure.
I'm so intrigued.
Yeah. I don't know which way it's going to go.
I really am, because there's so many matchups in the first round. Like right off the hop, we're going to get like every matchup.
Yeah. It's going to be good, man. I can't
what
wait.
about the Wild? What do the Wild do? What do the Blues do?
That Blues. So last year's
the Wild the one.
I like the Wild. I don't know what they have in them or how far they can go, but I like it.
Last year's best series was Florida Tampa. I think this year's best first round series is going to be St. Louis, Minnesota. I think it's going to be incredible.
Oh yeah, absolute banger.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so right now, just real quick, I know we want to get out of here. I know we've been going on forever, but since we're talking about it, current, as of today, first round matchups would be Florida, Washington, which would be an absolute banger of a series, I think. Toronto, Tampa Bay. The Maple Leafs lead that 2-1 in the regular season series. Carolina and Boston. Hurricanes.
See, who do you take there? Who do you take there?
Carolina. I think Carolina would beat them.
Really?
Pittsburgh.
I haven't been big on Carolina all year for some reason.
Calgary, Nashville, which I also think would be sneaky good out in the West. And then Edmonton, LA, which would definitely be good. I don't know if anyone would watch it because the games would all be on at 10 p.m., but they should, because those would be absolutely electric. Colorado, Dallas, we know. And then, as you said, Rupper, Minnesota, St. Louis would be some big boys and some speed going at it.
When this stuff gets situated, let's do all of us kick back. I know you're always doing your research there, Gumps, for Hammer Down, but let's do our stuff and let's come back with our position show, and we'll give our breakdown of. We got to do that prior playoff starting, because I think it'll be. There's a few sleepers in there. Put it this way. If it's Calgary, Nashville, I would bet you that series goes 7 games.
Yeah, there's some right off the bat.
Right now, I would take Nashville.
I'm leaning Nashville, but I'm not totally ready yet to say that. But I think it would go the distance, and I think Nashville could win that.
That was you mentioned Florida Tampa Bay last year. Like I felt like everyone knew that was going. that was going at least 6 or 7. Like, I don't
Which
think
one?
anyone, Tampa and Florida last year.
Yeah.
I think everyone knew that was going to be
Slugfest.
magic.
What'd you say there, Gumpy? What happened to Dallas?
Somebody on the Stars just got fucking whammied into the Oilers, fucking over into the Oilers bench. I didn't see the name on it.
Hey, those of you that never mind. I'm not going to go down that avenue. Never mind.
Okay, real quick. We've gone on this long. You might as well.
Yeah.
Give us one something.
What's that?
You ever get hit? You ever get hit into somebody's bench? You ever put somebody into the bench?
Yeah, both. I fought. No, it happened to me, and I did someone else. But I fought when I was in New Jersey when Gary Roberts was in Pittsburgh. I fought Gary Roberts.
What's wrong?
Gary's
You're
like
a maniac.
Gary's like
Fought
40 years old.
Roberts.
He was
Yeah,
like
what are you,
39 years old.
insane?
Yeah. So I'm going off for a line change, and
You fought Gary Roberts?
Yeah, Gary gives me a shot. I'll show it to you. Wait, you want to see what Gary did to me, putting me in the bench? So
Yes.
Gary,
No shit.
we're going for a line change. We bump. It was like second period, so we got to cross paths, and he bumps into me, and we kind of like, it's like you're tired. You're like, don't, it's like when you're fucking tired in life and someone bothers you, like, fuck off, like I'm standing by, I'm like, yeah, get out of my way, and he gives me a little shot, and I'm like, what the fuck are you gonna do? And it's fucking Gary Roberts. So he's like, what are you gonna do? And like stand there like this. I'm like, you want to go? Let's go. We drop the gloves and we start going. He was growling at me the entire fight.
Of course he was.
Dude,
The man's
I
like
swear to God.
Wolverine. What are you doing?
I threw a couple punches. I grabbed them in, and all of a sudden I started hearing them. I'm like tying them up, and I hear, I'm like, what the hell's going on? Next thing you know, I don't recall, but I think I either lost my grip or I tried to throw a left, and I got off balance and I got twisted. And he walked me like into the bench and leaned on me. My feet were straight up in the air. My head was down by the feet of the guys on the bench. I'll send you the video when we get off, and we can. You can look it up. Roberts.
The Peter Worrell name drop was
that was
time.
incredible.
I haven't heard Peter Worrell. There was some good name drops tonight.
Do you want to hear? Hey, let's leave the.
Got absolutely turfed.
I got one more thing for you fans that have been absolute warriors. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys tuning in with us all the time. Been on here for a long time. I'll leave you a good Peter Worrell story, and this is public knowledge, so I won't get in trouble saying this. Peter Worrell got pulled over in Florida. Do you remember this story for the Florida Panthers?
I don't know.
So he got pulled over in Florida, and they asked for the police asked for his driver's license. And for those of you who don't know, just for the backstory here, Peter Worrell is a black man, and he gets pulled over, and he gives the ID of Andreas Lilja to the cop. And Andreas Lilja is a white Swedish guy, his teammate.
Very, very Swedish.
Yes. And the cop's like, looks at it and looks at him, and the guest was like, not sure what this is. And he's like, that's me. And he's like, no, this ain't you. Look it up. I'm just gonna, like, he basically was telling the cop that.
I never heard this.
Yeah, and he got in big trouble. He got in big trouble down there in
No
Florida.
shit,
So I don't know much
dude.
about him except he's a character, and he lit me up with my first NHL shift.
He is a large individual.
Yeah. He was like 6'8", like 280 or something. Yeah.
1.6 million in fines for Pronger. What a run.
Yeah.
What a run.
And
Playing with a broken jaw.
I love the fact that he said every suspension was worth it.
Hey, that again, we're trying to get out here and we keep going, but like you hear a lot of guys talk about things, oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that, or blah blah. Like Bronx didn't seem to care about a lot of things he did. He's like, yeah, in the moment you just
because everyone always thought he was an asshole anyways.
Yeah,
so
but
fuck it, I'm the bad guy. But I think that's how he took it.
Yeah.
That
He got to
honesty
a
is
point
so
where he's like, I'm the bad
refreshing
guy. I
because
don't give a shit.
everyone in every walk of life has had those couple moments where it's like you don't know why, you don't know when it's going to happen, but for some reason at that moment you just kind of pop and just, oh yeah, fucking, stick a guy. Like why?
Yeah.
And then immediately after, like, why did I do that? But he's like, yeah, I don't know. I did it. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yeah. No, not making up excuses. Yeah, I did it, man. What do you want me to say? You know? So I don't know. He was good though. He was good. He was entertaining. Dude, I never even asked him. One of the main reasons I had him on is he's the last defenseman to win the Hart Trophy. I wanted to talk about Romeo. I never even mentioned it. So we'll have to find another time.
But
that Canada team in 2002, man, with that I'm dead serious. That Korean Lemieux line was fucking filth, dude. Absolute filth. They scored that goal in the gold medal that game. Lemieux went like through the legs to Korea.
Oh, the dummy.
That was the fake shot. Yeah.
Oh
the
yeah.
pass came across,
I'll see that. I'll
shot
see that
right
on my
through.
deathbed, dude. I fucking see that on my
I love
deathbed.
that goal so much.
Unbelievable.
Also, don't think I won't take it to my grave that Chris Pronger said, a man who played with Wayne Gretzky, said that Mario Lemieux was the hardest guy he's ever played against.
Yeah.
But again, wrapping up here. Thank everyone so much for sticking around. We appreciate everybody for listening and watching. Can't thank you enough. You guys are the absolute best. Please tweet at Chris Pronger and let him know that.
Yeah, let him know.
Show him some love. Hey, thank you for coming on. Appreciate the candor and the conversation. I want to get him on Pat's show. I want him and Pat to have a conversation. I think that would be absolutely electric. Rupper, good luck topping that next week. You got your work cut out for you, pal. Trying to
I'm taking next week off, boys. See you. No,
figure
out something.
Smart.
We'll figure out something.
We will forget. So hey, we're in the nitty gritty here. Only 5-6 games left for most teams, so we'll be talking playoffs.
Well, when's the playoffs start?
May 2nd.
Okay.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we're getting outshot 47-29. Like, give Wedge Wall a shot here, lads.
Wedgie, man.
May 2nd. That's a Monday.
Don't forget though. Don't forget. I think the regular season ends on the 29th, but on the 30th, there's an absolute barn burner of a game. It's going to be a makeup game from the snow in Winnipeg the other night. Winnipeg, Montreal. It's going to be played when the season is over. A game that means absolutely.
Why is it always fuck? Remember the Canucks? Didn't we do this with the Canucks? They played like 5 games after the season was over.
Call up the lads from the American League. Let them have a skate.
Or
can we get the NHL scheduler on the line too? Like what? Why do we have 1 game every Monday and 30 on Tuesday? Come on.
Yeah, maybe they think football season's still happening right now. They're stay away from Monday Night Football. I don't know.
Well, then that's what I think. That is what happened. They cram them in on Sunday now, so then they don't want to put back to backs, and then, but so on and so forth. Again, we're rambling again. Let's get out of here. Appreciate you guys so much.